Okay. All right. All right. Okay. 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 So, Escape Room Tournament of Champions. I just bought this movie from the Walmart, and I just watched this movie two times in a row, twice in a row. Why? Well, because if you don't know, it says here Game Master exposed an extended cut. There are two different cuts of this film. Oh boy. Neither one of these cuts are spectacular, although I will say that the extended cut makes more sense with the continuity of the first one, and it kind of connects to the first one better. But so let's talk about. I'm gonna go through the theatrical cut, and then I'll circle back and talk about the differences in the extended cut. So, in the theatrical cut, we start with a montage of everything that happened in the first film. It's shows everything that happened, and then we cut to our main character. I forgot her name. Zoe, played by Taylor Russell. She is in a therapy session where she's trying. It's revealed that they tried to go on a plane months earlier, but they couldn't do it. She still hasn't gotten over that fear of going on a plane, because that's how her family died. She was a survivor, the whole thing. So, she hasn't gotten over that, so they haven't been able to do it. And her shrink tells her, oh, you gotta get over it. That's the only way to prove that you've, gotten over this whole thing is you gotta prove that, you gotta do that. You gotta get on the plane, and that will prove that that you're over it all. But she can't do it, so she talks to Logan Miller's character. I forgot his name. Dave? No. Ben. She talks to Ben, and they decide to drive on the way there. We get the one scene of, connecting Ben to his smoking habit, where she says, no, I'm not gonna drive with a smoky car all the way there. So he doesn't smoke for the entire film. That's your cue to, why he's not smoking in this film. She said no. So, although I would imagine he would find some way. And so they finally get to New York. Well, they have this dream, and I knew it was a dream because they go to their hotel, and while I believe that they could have set up a hotel room, I knew it was a dream. Like Ben's hotel room starts to get all weird and wonky, and then he gets waking up. And finally make it to New York. Well, they find a empty building. Nothing there. They run into a crack addict who takes her watch, like her parents' watch or mother's watch or something, and runs off and leads them to the subway, where they get on a subway train, and this is this ends up being our escape room. You meet a few others there. There's Brianna, who is this person here. There is this dude, Nate. And there is, her name is, I forgot her name, but she's there. And then there's another guy, a bald dude, that we never really learned his name. Now they find out that they're all survivors of previous escape room things with Minos. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be kind of hard to go through these escape rooms because they're so elaborate. This first one is not so bad. On a train, a subway train, it's crashed. They got to get out. Electricity's starting to surge through. They got to pull down these metal rods, these metal handles. Like stop the train, and they got to pull them down to get these coins to put in the coin slot, and then that eventually allows them to get out of there. One of the guys gets electrocuted, the guy whose name we don't know, because he dies, and then they tell each other's names afterwards, but he gets electrocuted, and then eventually get out of there doing the same thing. But what got me, and I caught this the second time through watching it, and this scene wasn't changed by the cuts, but he takes his belt, and he's, because he goes to put the handle in the door so he can open it, and he gets shocked. So he takes his belt and wraps it around the handle and uses that to open it up. But when they have to start pulling down the metal handle things to get the coins, all of a sudden like, oh, we need something to grab it with. And I'm like, yeah, wait. What happened to his belt? And I didn't catch it the first time. Like, what happened to his belt? Everybody's got, oh, we use this rubber thing. Like, no, what happened to his belt? All you gotta do is loop it through, pull it down. Loop it through, pull it down. That's all you have to do. But his belt just, poof, disappears. They get out of there, and we get probably the most elaborate of the escape rooms in this, because it's, both times watching this scene, it's just such a headache. It's a bank vault. Right? And they get in there, and if you touch certain squares, it's like a checker pattern. You touch certain squares, lasers pop up, laser grid thing. And so they have to find a way to get through there. And there's just so many clues getting thrown at you that you have no idea. Because, much like the first one, you want to try to figure out the clues, right? Well, maybe they said, well, let's not make it easy for the audience either. So they threw a whole bunch of clues. They're going through stuff. I watched this scene twice, right? Original cut, extended cut. Both times I got confused before even anything happened. Eventually they get out, but not without Nate zapping himself, because all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm going to commit suicide or something, because he's just going to walk on everything. And there's a line that doesn't make sense in both cuts, okay? One point, part of the counter pops up. If they step on it, the lasers pop up. So when Nate steps on the wrong block, the lasers pop up and he falls back and just hits a head on the counter. And one of the girls says, well, I guess it doesn't matter if you hit your head I guess it doesn't count if you hit a head on the counter. I'm like, count what? The lasers are still up. Or they say, maybe it's only the top of the counter. I'm like, what? The lasers are up. I don't understand that line. He hit his head on the side of the counter, but I don't get, the lasers are up. I don't know. They get out of there and we get to a beach setting. By the way, the name Sonya is present in both cuts, and I was confused when I watched the extended cut because I'm like, wait, Sonya is connected to a certain character in the theatrical cut. What does it mean here? Did they forget to take... Because I was confused, because that connects to a certain character in the theatrical cut, and I wasn't sure if... I know, according to Wikipedia, I didn't look ahead, but it has different characters and endings and stuff, and I know that there are different characters in the extended cut. I knew that it was a totally different ending of the extended cut that has nothing to do with this ending. Like, it's not connected. So, like, anyone in this... Basically, everything in this original cut ending, or this theatrical cut ending, I should say, has no connection with the extended cut ending. So I thought they would take the Sonya out. But I guess Sonya connects to something else. That's what I'm trying to say. But they get to this beach setting. They take a picture. And now this is also complicated. They got to try to get out of here. There's a bunch of clues. Eventually, Nate drowns in quicksand because they're not able to save him. And then they're trying to find the clues out, and the two girls, Brianna and the other lady, they find a way out through a refrigerator exit, but Zoe finds another exit at the top. And this is what really irks me, because I don't understand why, because where we get to where we're headed, I don't understand why they had, except for one point, but why they had to have two different exits to this room. Because, okay, so Zoe's like, we gotta go here, and Brianna's like, no, we gotta go this one, we gotta keep playing the game. You don't want to go against it or something. And so the redhead chick, she goes with Zoe, but Ben is too slow, and he falls into the quicksand and supposedly dies. And when I saw this in the first cut, I went, son of a bitch. Because I know Logan Miller from I'm in the Band, and I like the actor. And I got pissed. See, I didn't get pissed in the first one because we knew, like, he was his first shot of that film was him getting squished, so he knew something was going to happen to him. But here, I was like, he's dead, you know? But, because he falls into the quicksand, you know? So we get them crawling out. There's like be underneath like the sewers. They crawl out into New York and they think they've escaped. Only to then see Brianna running at them going, no. I'm like, wait. That's bullshit. Why have two different exits that was going to lead the same way? Why have them go different directions if they're both going to end up in the same area? Other than to have where Logan Miller falls, where Ben falls into the quicksand, you have to do that. You could have still done that, just he was too slow, or he saved Zoe and he fell through. I don't know, it's confusing to me. Alright, well now we're in the acid rain world. Every 45 seconds or so, acid rain is going to start pouring down. And it's still hard to follow the clues in this. Really is. It's like they said, oh, we're not gonna let the people at home try to follow the clues. They don't give you a chance. There's a phone booth and an awning and stuff, and it's just confusing. Eventually, they figure out the whole thing with the phone. You gotta wait. You gotta 3 rings and then put the phone down. 3 rings and answer the phone. So they pick the phone up, put it back down, wait 3 rings, pick it up. Cab opens, she goes in, and this is where the bullshit starts, alright? For no reason at all, when the two ladies try to follow, the taxi door closes, then the phone booth door closes, and then it starts to rain acid rain. That's bullshit. That is writing it. That is a problem with the writing right there. That is writing because you have to have just her survive. So you got to figure out how to get really into characters. Making it look like it was set up is a bad writing mistake. It's a bad way to write your movie. Just, you don't have another thing, but you could do something. Why don't you explain? You could have had Brianna. You could have explained that the whole thing was the exit the entire time, and Brianna ended up falling into an incinerator or something because she went the wrong way. And then have the acid rain kill the redhead. But no, they just die. And we go through this whole thing where she can't feel pain. Not really a payoff. Not really, other than she can touch the acid rain and not get hurt. And stuff that I don't know. But yeah. So now we get to the theatrical ending. And we have Zoe get to a room where we find out that Amanda, Deborah Ann Woll's character from the first film, survived her fall. If you don't see it, it didn't happen, or something like that. She survived her fall, and she's been forced to be the puzzle maker and build all these puzzles. And yeah, and she did it inspired by her daughter. The photograph, everything inspired by her daughter. And so, and Ben is still alive. She saved Ben, apparently. But then his tank gets filled up with water. But she's able to create it so that heat goes on it and makes the metal expand. And it all brushes through and they survive. And they're going to call the cops and take down Minos once and for all. Now, we don't find out what happens to Amanda Nisman because she survives with them. And, like, when she starts to do the fire thing, I'm like, are you nuts? That's her thing. Remember the first time she wanted to be around fire? And they do show that she's getting scared of it. Amanda's thing, and she survived a bomb or something, right? Yeah, and then we get the payoff to the airplane thing, which doesn't really work in this. She decides, because her therapist told her she knew she was ready to move on when she would get on an airplane. So she got an airplane. It turns out to be a setup. It turns out her therapist was apparently in on it, and their clues were in the stuff she was showing her earlier. Like, this is a clue. This is a clue. And this actually was a clue. And the plane is going to go down. And that's how the theatrical cut ends. I don't like that ending. We get a more concrete ending in the extended cut, but I don't like that ending. Because if I had just... Okay, I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna cut my ratings for for each cut. I'm gonna give a rating. So if I didn't watch, I watched, before watching the extended cut, I would say this is not worth your time. The theatrical cut is not worth your time. However, I do think that the extended cut is a little bit better. So we start off in the extended cut with a flashback to a man played by James Frain, who you may know from several TV shows. And he has his wife and his daughter have returned home. And the wife goes to talk to James Frain, this guy, who turns out is the game master. And they get in an argument, and the next thing you know, his wife dies in a sauna. All right, and there are the opening is also different because we go from that to so both cuts start with the flashback to everything that happened in the first film. Then we cut to that opening with James Frain and the Game Master stuff, and then we cut to them testing the airplane trap from the end of the first one. And I think James Frain is there, and they say that they're going to, they're glad she got over her fear of flights. And then we cut to the airport, where they're about to get on the plane, but the last second she decides she can't do it, she's not ready yet, and so they leave. And from there on, it's basically the same thing, going beat for beat, theatrical, until you get to the ending, where this time, I will say though, you do see the daughter. There is if you watch, because I watched the theatrical cut, they connect there's stuff in certain areas that they use, like sucker keys or lollipop keys, whatever you want to call them, and the little eyeball things that connect here better because you have the little girl going through stuff and you see the eyeballs, you see the little, key things, and it connects back. But we get the ending here where everything goes out beat for beat. When she falls through the cab, instead of landing where Amanda was, she lands in front of the daughter, whose name is Claire, played by Isabelle Fuhrman, or the orphan. And she says her father has locked her in there, and she has 3 tries to solve a puzzle that apparently she can't do, she'll never be able to do on her own or without help. And she has 3 tries, and a gas thing will go off. She says she's already failed once. Remember that, because they don't. Alright? So, unless, I'll get to it. So, she's able to help her figure out the thing. She reveals that Ben is still alive. He's also alive in this cut, and I was worried. I was like, wait, did they actually kill Ben off of this? No, she kept him alive. She has an assistant guy that saved him. And so they free her, and then the father shows up, and with her bodyguard has been shot, and dad shows up, and then she locks him in. The daughter, Claire, locks him up in the thing, and they don't rescue. Ben's not there. He's somewhere else, being acid rained a little bit, and there's a gas that's poisonous to the skin or something that's going on in there. But Claire tells her that she has had the right place the entire time. And this is why this ending makes more sense. As she's getting there, the cops are taking people out, and you see the crack addict being taken out in handcuffs. That makes more sense. He was in on it. Whereas in the theatrical cut, they never come back to him, and you're led to believe that it was just a coincidence that they got there. And I was just like, wait, what about the crack guy? Was he not in on it? What's going on? How did they just happen to be on that? It makes no sense. But with this ending, it does make sense. He was in on it. He led them there, and she even gets her watch back in this. And so she goes with Ben in the ambulance, and then we get a reveal that Claire, Isabelle Fuhrman, she was evil the entire time, and they were actually going to take her to a place to get her help, and she killed her mother, and then she kills her father. But here's where I have a problem. So she pushes the thing incorrectly 3 times. However, she already said that she guessed incorrectly once. Unless she was lying, or when it got opened and shut again, it reset. So she has to do it 3 times again. Otherwise, it doesn't really make much sense. Either they weren't paying attention to the writing, she lied and didn't get one wrong, which doesn't really suit anything, or it resets, which resets makes more sense. Apparently, she was supposed to be set up to be the new villain, but it's a little confusing because in the theatrical ending, we assume that they're going to die. In this ending, they continue on. We already know who I don't know. But I do prefer the extended cut. So if I rewatch this again, and actually I could see going from watching the first one to the extended cut of this one and be simultaneous. Be able to just watch, back to back. Whereas with the first one, with the original cut, the theatrical cut, it just, I don't know. If it feels like Deborah Ann Wool's character was forced in there, and it probably was because there probably was a reshot ending. It doesn't really make any sense. Like, she was dead. I'm sorry, but she was dead. All right, and knowing that she wasn't in the extended cut, which was probably the original cut of the film, makes more sense. They have more connections to Claire. They come back to the crack addict, which makes more sense. He was connected. Everything just works better in the extended cut, and so I like the extended cut better. This isn't a original versus remake, but I like the extended cut better. And my rating. There's 2 ratings. All right. For the theatrical cut, it's not worth your time. But for the extended cut, I'm going to at least say it was the middle of the road. It's nothing spectacular, but it's a little bit better. And if I was to rewatch it again, that's the cut I'm going to watch, honestly. So what are your thoughts on either cut of Escape Room Tournament of Champions? Leave me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.